Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Your taxes, your money, your blood, sweat, and tears have helped keep this country great. And definitely not because of some pin-headed politician that knows nothing about how your life really is. God bless America. Here comes Kate Smith, and the title of the song, God Bless America. Good morning. We need a patriot. Come on, patriots, don't let me down. Call in with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. And a good morning to you and yours. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell. And thank you for tuning in. And our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with absolutely the best of tires and service. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have a patriot give our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to say something right here about the pledge, and sir, thank you for an outstanding job. I appreciate that. But there are people, there are insidious, evil people out there that want to do away with the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance. All the more incentive to spit in their eye and do it. So every morning I appreciate the pledge, and I appreciate the pledge given by the audience. Thank you. Right now it's time for the weather forecast, brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. And they say, get ready for spring. I love their attitude. Get ready for spring work. They've got all the best of tools and equipment for you to finish any kind of a construction or spring project. So get ready for spring with K&R Rental. Questions? Give them a call, 678-3122. Right now, here's the weather.
Looks like it's shaping up to be a very nice week. Here's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. For today, going to be sunshine, a high of 51. There is going to be a little bit of a breeze for tonight. Partly cloudy, 26 the low. For Thursday, sunshine and 56. The wind will be calming down just a little bit. Thursday night, mostly clear with a low of 27. For Friday, mostly sunny and a high near 60 for Friday night. Mostly cloudy and a low of 33. Saturday, partly sunny, a high of 55. And Sunday, sunshine and 53. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. Have an amazing day.
I appreciate it, Scotty, filling in for Gina. I understand Gina went to the dentist and she's talking like new boo boo blah 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 boo. Anyway, congratulations for the trip to the dentist. One thing that I hate to do. Weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. Roger and the crew are there to serve you with the best of tools and equipment for both long and short-term rental. Number to call 678-3122, K&R Rental. Thank you so much. Also want to give a great big shout out this morning to our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Hello, Ramsey's. What a nice family, and they've been in business for 7 decades. I mean, they know what they're doing. All your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, and believe me, call ahead. They'll have a lot of what you want to pick up right there on the counter waiting for you. And the number's 678-0459. They're open 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Well, top of the morning to you, caller.
Well, you know the drill, and I'm going to give it to you.
Okay.
Okay, good morning to you. First of all, for you and your wife and your whole entire family. But what I want to say this morning is you ain't seen nothing yet. You've heard that saying many times.
Mm-hmm.
But this wealth bill that they're talking about is going to become an asset bill, according to Elizabeth Warren, who wants to put an asset tax on everything that every man, woman, and child owns.
Yeah.
In other words, your car, your pickup, your house, and everything else. You'll have to pay a tax on that now.
And where do you think, or where do you perceive that money would go? Where would it go?
I don't really know. I have no idea. Maybe you can help.
Well, I can tell you some of the premise of what you're talking about is that they're talking about deriving more funds so that they can better help our illegal aliens coming across the border to the tune of 4,000 to 5,000 per day. They're talking about helping to pay many of the different things that the Democrats want to force upon us with that added tax. And the biggest problem is, Keith, that we need to get together with our tax people. We need to get together with our state people and let them know they'd better get up off the couch, and as a state, they better be telling the federal government what's going on, what color the dog is, and we've got to start a power play. I talked to a gentleman earlier this morning that said the best way to handle this is not go directly to the national people like Simpson. He's not going to get anything done. And start working within the state to let the feds know that we are highly upset and they're not getting another damn dime.
Well, I don't know where it's written, but I guess it's the law. Taxation without representation. We're not being represented. We're just being taxed.
Gee whiz, it sounds like shades of the 1700s when this nation was formed. I'll be darned. Here we go again. Deja vu.
I just came on.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh, you mean they don't have to represent us?
Well, I'll tell you what.
They're going to just take our money and run?
Well, welcome to the real world, Keith. Thank you. You know, I always appreciate your comments in the morning to get things started off. Thank you so much. I got calls waiting. I got to run. Thank you for your help.
You have a wonderful day.
I will, sir. Thank you very much. Caller, I'll be right there. I want to remind everybody about Denny's Restaurant. I'm going to try to stop in there today and see Thomas, and the wheels of progress are working. And I'll just say this. We're going to be making plans to re-implement, restart, rejuvenate Lunch Bunch. Yes, sir. We miss our lunch bunchers. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, 611 North Overland in Burley, and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Absolutely a great place to go eat. Yup. I'm going to say they've got a brand new menu. I'm going to be saying that every day on this program, I'm going to be featuring some of those new menu choices. And along with the great people, I mean, you can't go wrong taking your family and friends into America's Diner. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. You stop in and see those really, really nice people today. Want to also give a great big thank you and a shout out to Dino Septic Service. By the way, maintenance on septic tanks is extremely important, and if you haven't checked on yours for a while, might be a good idea to get a hold of Dino Septic Service. I'll give you 3 numbers. Jot them down real fast. We're going to have a speed writing course. In Rupert, 436-6526, or in Burley, 678-1638, and in Twin Falls, hello, Twin, 735-8281. Yes, the very best of septic tank and drain fields installed, backhoe services, water and sewer lines installed, all of this and so much more with the most modern of equipment and expertise. Dino's Septic Service, when they pull in the big yard with the truck that says, smells cargo, on the way. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Dear, welcome home.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate that.
You know, I've been driving around the country a little bit, and there's a lot of tattered flags with all the wind we've had. And I see a lot of horses that are not getting anything to eat, and it just gripes my butt.
You know, Bob, I've said this on the air, and you and I, of course, have known each other for years, and I've said that if people are going to have animals, I don't care if it's goats, I don't care if it's calves, I don't care if it's horses, I don't care what it is, they've got to take care of them, and if they don't, the law should be very, very tough on these people, and those animals should be taken away.
Yeah, and Zeb, one more thing. You're about ready for another goat. Have a good day, and we'll talk to you later.
There's a funny story behind what he just said, because I remember, it's been quite a few years ago, a trailer pulled into my yard, and it was Bob, and he had a goat for me in the trailer, and we had quite a tussle, but that goat became a major part of our family, and quite a pet. Oh, Bob, thank you so much. Hey, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, I think I've been to a couple of county fairs and a hog calling contest. I've been around the world a little bit, perhaps more than most. But when you hear statements like, and I'm going to throw this out, and if somebody can really explain this to me, I'd be very appreciative. What is this statement that they're saying the left is coming up with, that we need to reimagine education? I've heard that so many times in the course of the last, let's say since the first of the year, by left loons that keep saying the same thing. In education, we need to reimagine education. Reimagine. What does that mean? The Secretary of Education, Cardona, kept saying that even yesterday. What is reimagine education? I need help with that one, because I think that it's kind of clandestine. So give me a call on that. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Yeah, we've been reimagining education for a long time, because they've taken the foundation of our country totally out of our curriculum and put socialist environmental garbage in instead. So they've been reimagining. I don't know exactly what they want to do, but if it's like the police, they're wanting to control. Well, right now they're bringing in illicit sex education clear into the grade schools.
Yeah,
and it's just crazy. But you know, one of the things that really bothers me is, where's the security in this country anymore? We've got all of these Chinese students, I think around 120,000 of them in here, and their first duty is to be a spy. Christopher Wray yesterday now just basically dismissed the fact there was BLM and Antifa at the Capitol Mall riots. I mean, I don't know. That guy, I've never trusted him. He's a deep state guy, and we got some real problems with security in this country.
Let me just say this, Adrian. I was listening to this Christopher Wray on a couple of news clips, and what I took from his basic being on television was that he is implementing the thought and spreading the thought that Americans, our fellow Americans, are much more dangerous and much more deadly as consumer terrorists in this country and taxpaying terrorists in this country than ISIS. And that chilled me because he's laying the groundwork for basically the government having the watchful eye over everybody. And when they see something that might not be exactly copacetic, maybe the friends you hang around with, maybe what you do for a living, maybe what you do for a hobby, Big Brother is watching us right now 24/7, 365. And for this gentleman, and I use the term loosely to say that we, the American public, are more dangerous than ISIS, that totally teased me off.
Oh, absolutely. When I heard that, I thought, and I've been amazed all along. Christopher Wray has just absolutely done nothing with all of the Comey and all of that stuff, the previous people. The FBI has been, it's not the J. Edgar Hoover that we remember growing up.
No.
That's for sure.
No, I totally agree with you.
Nonsense.
I totally agree with you, Adrian. But the problem...
For Ray should be gone. That should have been gone a long time ago. But it's scary.
Yeah.
They're going to call all of us deplorables out here that want a constitutional government to keep our guns and be able to go to church and so forth. I mean, we're the enemies of the state now. Come on, people, wake up.
Yeah,
this has got to stop.
Are you and I? Wait a minute. Let me jump in.
Students that are in here, and of course, we're paying a lot of that. And their first job is to be a spy. And there's the last count I heard was about 120,000 scattered through all the universities. Now, China pays for their tuition. Now, they're paying for it with the trinkets we buy and our trade deficit and so forth. But this is a real problem, and we need to address it, and quickly.
I agree.
But unfortunately, our elected people just seem to, I don't know, there's not much pushback on anything.
I agree.
It really scares me.
I agree. No, your thoughts and comments are well appreciated and spot on, and I thank you for your call, Adrian. I got others waiting, and I'll take those, and I'll say thank you to you. Always appreciate your call. Thank you. He is spot on because we do have a lot of problems. We do have a lot of problems, and I appreciate his comments this morning, but I want to get back to what I said just a minute ago. What is this reimagining of education? Maybe we'd better now get all the schools opening right now, all the schools from California clear back to New York, and stop listening to the puppy whiners of the teachers' unions. I don't have a lot of respect for unions, never did. And the puppy whiners in the teachers' union are basically damaging permanently our children. When I say our children, our nation's children. The schools need to be opened up right now. And instead of the liberal indoctrination tanks, we need to get back to the basics of reading, writing, history, and math, so that we can have an appreciation and an expanding of those situations. But to say that we're going to reimagine education, I don't understand that, and I wish somebody out there would give me your thoughts on that. Kids want to be in school today, and if you don't think so, you're wrong. They're absolutely craving their childhood with their peers and craving the association of what goes on in the school with the different clubs and the studies and everything. They're craving this. And the bastardized education system, and it is being run by selfish union workers. Underline those words, selfish union workers. We are blessed. We are blessed here in this area that the schools are open and being run by people that understand these kids have needs. And when you look at the deviants in California or in New York or any other place that the schools are still closed, damn them for what they're doing to these children. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Bennett Boys Auction Service, they're going to have the big Filer Community Auction at 11 o'clock this Saturday, March 6th at the Twin Falls County Fairgrounds in Filer. Open consignment auction, Bennett Boys Auction Service. Don't forget, they're going to be receiving consignments starting today and going through Friday. And if you want to consign, get a hold of Joe Bennett and the crew at 208-539-0111. Don't forget, 539-0111. Filer Community Auction coming up this Saturday, Twin Falls County Fairgrounds, managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, yup. They sell them all. By the way, don't forget on Mondays, we give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square. Oh, what a bakery. Oh, what a restaurant. You're going to love the cookies. And all you have to do is answer a trivia question, and you might be the lucky winner on Mondays at 8:30 to Sophie's Chatterbox. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. When you hear stories and listen to stories and watch the interviews with the families of children, and I'm going to be really blunt here. It's a subject that's very, very touchy, but I have to be blunt, of the suicides by these students because they feel that their lives have been taken away from them, many of which have. These students, whether they're seniors and opting for a college scholarship to go play football, basketball, whatever it is, everything was put on hold. Everything went down the drain. They didn't have a chance to be with their peers. They didn't have a chance to graduate with their peers. They didn't have a chance to enjoy prom. I mean, all of these things were taken away from our kids. And I am sick and tired of turning on the television set and looking at these laughing, dancing teachers representing the teachers union saying, we're not going to go back until it's 100% safe. Tell me one circumstance in life. Tell me one circumstance in life that is 100% guaranteed safe or whatever. It isn't there. And I'm sick of these people saying, well, we're not going to go back until it's 100% safe. These people are absolutely criminals for the way our children have been treated. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. You know, if we don't change our attitude here, Chinese are watching what's going on. And I'll tell you one thing that I feel at some point, this country is going to degrade itself to the point where China is going to be able to walk right in here and take us over.
Oh, well, wait a minute, Tony. Are we really that far away?
Yes, we are.
No. We're not far away at all. We're not far away at all from that happening. We are being a kowtowing nation to a major superpower that absolutely hates us. And the leadership that we have now, if you want to use the word leadership, I can't, I won't, I don't like them, I don't trust them. They are absolutely kowtowing to the Chinese government, and we're not that far away from what you just said.
Well, what China plans on is Black Lives Matter, Antifa, MS-13, the drug cartels to come in and damage this country to the point that we'll have another Pearl Harbor right here in our own country. And it's close.
Well, you know something, and I'll be criticized for this. I know I will be. Somehow, Tony, the American public has got to stand up, and they've got to look the federal government in the face and say, that's enough. Back up, sit down, and listen to we the people.
Well, the only thing they're listening to right now is football scores, baseball scores, basketball scores, and their new telephones that they get, and their computers and all this. They're sidetracked by so many things, they're unconscious about what's going on.
I agree. The real things that matter, you touched on them. I don't have to reestablish what you said. It's true. People need to really understand, for this generation and future generations, we better get our act together right now.
Yeah, I know the Chinese are planning on our younger generation to hand them America.
Amen. Tony, I appreciate you and Mary. God bless you, and I mean that. Have a great day, and thank you for your calls, as always.
Okay, thank you, Zed.
Thank you, sir. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, I just want to say there is no such thing as 100% safe. Not when you're walking down the road, not even when you're sitting in your living room.
Yeah, I just don't understand this, Rodney. Our children are suffering in so many large areas across the United States. I mean, their attitudes, their demeanors, their personalities, their craving for an education. And here's the thing that bugs me. These teachers are getting paid, and parents are paying their taxes, and the kids aren't getting an education. There's something wrong with this picture.
Exactly. They're not getting an education. No. They're getting indoctrination. And they're being indoctrinated to be good little commies.
Well, I can't argue that. I mean, when you say something as frivolous and not understandable as we need to reimagine education, what does that mean? We need to have a restructure on math to where 2 and 2 is not 4 anymore, it's 5? I mean, this is the lunacy that's going on in education today. Let's get back to the basics. We don't have to reimagine a doggone thing. Let's just apply the principles of education the way they're supposed to be.
Exactly. In fact, I think a part of the reimagining thing they're talking about is trying to find a way to convince the kids that, like, their parents are evil and that God doesn't exist and all that. That's probably what they're talking about.
It could very well be. It could very well be, and I just am at a loss when you hear statements like that. You want to know why. And the trouble is, Rodney, nobody in the news media is smart enough to interrupt these people like Secretary of Education Cardona and say, whoa. What do you mean? Spell it out. Break it down. What do you mean when you say reimagine education?
It's not that they're not smart enough. It's that they just don't dare question their leftist overlords.
Well, Rodney, I disagree with you. In many cases, like what I see and hear on MSNBC and CNN, they're not smart enough.
Well, maybe they're not smart enough, but they still don't dare question their leftist overlords.
Okay, buddy. I appreciate your call, as always. Very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I hope to see you at Lunch Bunch real soon.
We're working on it. I tell you what, buddy, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And I'm praying for you guys.
Thank you. That I appreciate. Thank you. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This Looney Tunes approach to problems that we're seeing over a little bit more than a month with the Biden administration, it's chilling. It's really chilling, and you have so many people that are so far left and absolutely of socialist value, if you want to use that word connected with socialism, like AOC and the others. They are so insulated. Think about this for a minute. They, being the left, whether it's Chucky Schumer or whether it is Biden or whether it's Kamala Harris or whomever it is, they are so insulated in their little world of, in the morning, somebody's going to come pick me up. Somebody's going to take me to a meeting. Somebody's going to tell me when I have to go say this at CNN, or somebody's going to tell me I have to make this speech here. They're so insulated as to what the real world really is. And yet they make statements and make decrees and formulate laws that affect you and I, and they have no clue, none, as to how and what and why it will affect our lives. I'm fed up with it. I am fed up with listening to the very homely-faced remarks of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I'm fed up with the remarks and the giggles and the smirks of Kamala Harris. And unfortunately, she's going to become more prominent as they put Joe out to pasture. I'm fed up with it. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't leave me hanging, folks. Hey, don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental Sales Service and Parts, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, and 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin with Eli and the crew, and the Nampa location. You know, every time I've been around there, they are so busy working with various clients that need maybe this kind of machinery to do this kind of a job, maybe the lifting, the digging, the pushing, the carrying. They've got all the Bobcats, all the different sizes. They've got a great big brand spanking new inventory. They've got all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators, and all you got to do is just say, hey, I don't know what I need for this task. They can help you at Barry Equipment and Rental. Absolutely. And if you're not sure how to run the equipment, they'll teach you. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and Nampa. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, it always comes down to how we're going to stop them, because we're not getting any help from our senators or congressmen, and we're not going to get any help from Lindsey Graham or Mitch McConnell. And so you say to yourself, well, what can we do? And, like I say, I have direct numbers for Crapo and Rish, and I asked their aides when they're going to start being on the radio out here and start answering to the folks. And they never answer.
Well, hold on a minute. I want to thank you for what you've done. I mean, of anybody that calls in, and I mean this, I'm giving you a lot of kudos. You've called and told them to call me and make arrangements to come on the program, and I respect that. But yet, all I hear is crickets. Nobody calls. Why is it? Tell me this, Rant. Wait a minute.
I even give them your name and number, your cell number.
That's good.
You need to make arrangements and get out here, so we need to hear from you every 2 weeks. So what you're going to do to slow down the agenda, the price of gas,
yep,
what's happening at the border,
yep,
everything, the destruction of our country. And so you say, what can we do? And I don't know. I know this. I know that the states of Wisconsin, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and others, those people in those states are going forth to try to get a free and fair elections, because let's face it, they stole the election and we know it.
Yep.
And, it's kind of funny because in the past, Ohio and Florida were always kind of up for grabs, and Trump took them with ease, and he was going to take the rest of them with ease until they decided to fix it. And so, Florida, thanks to Ron DeSantis, who is, he's a stud, thank God. And we could use a stud here in Idaho. That's my opinion. And so, but I don't know. I just get frustrated on what we can do to slow down the insanity.
Well, this is what I say, and I visited, as I said earlier this morning, at about 6:30 this morning, with a gentleman that I have a lot of trust and faith in, his opinion. And I think we need to play the deck of cards from the other side, play face up. Here's what I think. We need to go through our state people, whether it's Senator Kelly Anthon or whether it happens to be Speaker of the House Scott Bedke or whatever, and start making a lot of waves as to what's going on and trying to be imposed by the federal government. Now you're saying, well, yeah, you're talking about the state people. But think about this. If everybody went to their state people and they started whining and complaining and demanding answers and results, that means the onus is on them to to get the answers from the feds, and the feds is going to get pretty sick and tired pretty quick about having 50 states clamoring at their door. I mean, maybe that might be the best approach right now, because when you talk to the national representatives, you get nothing but crickets.
That's right. Now, one thing about states, and states that are, not our friend, California, Newsom, they have literally they're going to have over the amount needed to recall him. And Cuomo is under the spotlight. And whether or not the folks of New York, the governor, can get rid of him, because let's face it, he's an arrogant something.
Yeah.
So,
don't scare me like that.
Those people in those, old folks' homes, and he never cared about the deaths.
Yeah.
He jokes with his brother on TV like they're a couple of, cads. And you know what I mean?
I do.
And so the people have got to stand up and hold these people accountable.
Well,
and, look at Florida and what DeSantis is doing. There's an example that we can live with.
Well, wait a minute. There's other examples, too. And I'm going to give one, and I have the utmost respect for this woman, and that's Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota. And I also am developing more of a respect, if you will, for Governor Abbott in Texas. And there are other people in leadership. That's why I am saying to you, Randy, maybe we ought to start putting the onus on the state people first to demand things of the federal people. I'll give you a classic example. I don't know if you heard it yesterday, but Speaker of the House Scott Bedke was on the Idaho Legislative Update, and we were talking about Congressman Mike Simpson. When I was in Arizona and picked up a news story about how Mike Simpson wants to side with the Greenies and Idaho Power and go ahead and breach the dams, I was outraged. And then I heard on the air yesterday Scott Bedke say right on the air that he was never even notified about Mike's stance on that. He was never notified about anything that was going on with the breaching of the dams, and there's a lot of questions, and Simpson seems to basically run and hide behind a closet door and not answer any questions. I would give a lot of money right now out of the company account to have Mike call and say, I want to talk about the breaching of the dams, because boy, do I want to talk to him about the extreme costs and hardship that it would bring upon the populace of the Northwest.
Well, shutting down the Port of Lewiston, when you start figuring it's so immense that the shock waves will never stop. And again, I've said this in the past, one barge, 144 railroad cars, 357 semis, and, whether or not, and let's face it, 357 semis is, I guess, good for truck drivers, but if you're talking about a carbon footprint, a barge running that, down the, a tug running a barge down up or down the river is no carbon footprint.
That's right.
And, breaching the dams, what they would do with the silt would be so detrimental to the fish that they may never recover. And the cost of breaching, tearing out these dams, can you imagine such a thing?
No, I don't want to imagine. And I guess to be fair, yes, I've imagined it because it's been kind of lurking in the back of some people's minds. But, I happen to know a little bit about what you're talking about with the cost to the farmers, the cost to agriculture, etc. If we had to put 357 semis that equivalates to one barge up and down the highways, I mean, the cost factor with the increased factors of fuel and the increased factors of insurance and everything else, it's absolutely going to be cost prohibitive, and it all goes back to the producer making less money, and that's total insanity.
Well, that's the thing, see. I have lots of customers who are farmers, and I go there and I say to them, I says, are you worried? Yeah. I said, this is what they say to me. She says, I can't watch the news. It makes me crazy.
Yeah.
I just have to go out and run my business. and I just have to do what I can do. And, they're right locally right now. There's a 20,000 cattle feedlot that, because of COVID, they are going to have to, they're done. They're going to sell out. But you see, this is in Oakley, Idaho, and it affects everybody. And I asked one of the neighbor, feedlot owners, I said to him, well, there's no way the Chinese are going to buy this feedlot, are they? No. And he told me he felt confident that would never happen, but there would be a buyer come along that was going to be, good for America and good for the employees out there and good for, Cassia County.
Hurry, Randy, because I'm out of time. I got to get the weather on. Hurry.
Yeah, I'm done.
No, but I want to say I compliment you on the way you presented it this morning. And all I'm going to say about Mike Simpson, our congressman, I think that he has let his shotgun mouth overrun his BB gun brain on this issue of the breaching, and I'll let it go at that.
Well, let's face it. He's compromised to the point where he had to make some sort of a stand to appease them.
Yes.
And so they say he's done and he's going to retire, and that can't happen soon enough.
I got to go, Randy, but I do appreciate you. Thank you so much. And caller number 2, I'm going to ask you for your patience. Just give me 60 seconds, and I'll be right with you. I've got to get this weather forecast on, brought to everybody by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Absolutely right behind the Minidoka County Hospital, across from the emergency room, and the number to call, 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. They are there to help your hearing health problems. Believe me, if you have a problem hearing, don't let it go. Don't let it get worse. Give them a call. They can help, and they will. 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Here's Scotty with the weather.
Looks like it's shaping up to be a very nice week. Here's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. For today, going to be sunshine, high of 51. There is going to be a little bit of a breeze for tonight. Partly cloudy, 26 the low. For Thursday, sunshine and 56. The wind will be calming down just a little bit. Thursday night, mostly clear with a low of 27. For Friday, mostly sunny and a high near 60 for Friday night. Mostly cloudy and a low of 33. Saturday, partly sunny, a high of 55. And Sunday, sunshine and 53. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. Have an amazing day.
Thank you, Scotty, for filling in. And don't forget, for your hearing health, and they can help with unique customized treatments for you at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Don't forget to give them a call. Make an appointment right now at 312-0957. Caller, you've been very patient. Go ahead, please.
Yes. They're going to lose a lot of farm ground. A lot of productive property is not going to be there if they breach them dams. And if we mess up our math, how are we going to measure things accurately? How are we going to do our chemistry accurately? How are we going to do almost everything we deal with accurately without accurate math? You couldn't even balance your checkbook. If 2 and 2 is 5, it just as well be 59.
Yeah.
It just none of it makes a bit of sense. We need to be logical in what we do, and what they're talking about is just plumb stupid.
You can.
Oh, shut up.
No, I appreciate you, Jerry.
Some room.
No, I appreciate what you say.
You and your whole audience.
God bless you, Jerry. Thank you. And everything you say on this program, I really respect and appreciate. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. In the 1700s, we had the Boston Tea Party, and now we need to have the San Francisco Ice Cream Bay Party. All of old Pelosi's ice cream in the bay.
I've got a picture in my mind's eye.
This Reimagine thing, it really insults me that he uses the words imagine.
Yeah.
Because all they're doing is taking away the imagination. I mean, look at Dr. Seuss and the Muppets and, they're racist and all this. they're part of somebody's imagination, and all it's doing is destroying imagination by getting rid of those.
How much more are we going to take? And dear lady, I want you to respond to this. Give me a short answer. I'm stacked up with calls. What book is going to be next? Is it going to be possibly the Bible?
Possibly. I mean, they want to get rid of all of Laura Ingalls' Little House on the Prairies too, because they're racist.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. It could be the Bible because they're racist.
You know, the Bible lays out the way we should live, and the Bible is a great history book of what happened in olden times and what should happen with us leading a godly life. That offends some people, and I think the Bible will be one of the books they're going after next.
Exactly. Well, another part of that imagination is, what if the woman who is behind Aunt Jemima hadn't imagined that she could do something with her life besides having been a slave?
Amen. Very good point. Very good point. And you know what? I don't look at these people with any racist overtones. I look at whether it's Aunt Jemima or whether it's politicians or whether it's actors that have made it big, and regardless of what their color was, they had talent. If we're going to start basing our society on color instead of talent, we're in a lot of trouble, my dear.
Another one that used his imagination was the man that came up with the logo for the Washington Redskins.
Absolutely.
And they've destroyed his legacy, too, and his family's extremely proud of his legacy.
Absolutely. I always appreciate your calls. Thank you very much for calling in. Keep on doing it. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Nice lady. Nice lady. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, I want to know what's happened to the word courtesy. Have they taken it out of the dictionary or what? Because it does not exist anymore.
The word courtesy?
This crazy woman from California that says you've got to get into their face. You got to do this and you got to do that. And it's the loudest voice that seems to be controlling us.
Well, Maxine Waters...
Courtesy whatsoever.
No, you're right. Maxine Waters is absolutely a very vindictive, a very racist, a very promoter of hate. There's so many things I can say about Maxine Waters. She should not be representing anyone in politics. She should not be in politics, and I find her to be detestable. It's okay for her to incite people to go after other people, but then for her to stand up and criticize President Trump, it's kind of like the dog chasing a parked car. She is absolutely repulsive.
Yeah, but you know, like in Congress, it used to be, if you belong to a different party, let's come together.
Yeah.
You know, that aisle seems to have become a barrier because you don't dare cross it. If one of those Democrats, besides Joe Manchin, crosses that line, they will be excoriated beyond belief.
You know, I appreciate that. Yeah, you're right, Keith, and I appreciate your calling back on that. I've got another call and a commercial, and then I got to get out of here for this hour. Thank you, Keith. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, buddy. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Quickly, go ahead.
They hung up.
Oh, darn. No, I just want to say that in regards to Mike Simpson, he's wrong. That's it, plain and simple. You can do the math on any one of the topics concerning breaching the dams. Mike Simpson is wrong, and it's an embarrassment to the state of Idaho that he would come out in favor of the breaching of the dams. And regarding Reimagine Education, I'm going to be talking to Dr. James Shank tomorrow on the air, and he's the Burleigh-Cassia County Superintendent, and I want to get his opinion on this. Real quick, I also wanted to mention 117,000. That is a scary number. 117,000 children under 18 years of age are expected to come across our border this year. Now, when you think about that, 117,000 kids without parents, without guardians, without any aunt and uncle, they're just coming across. Who in the world would send children under 18 on a journey like that? And then for somebody to say, oh, well, here, America, you just take care of them. That's obscene. That's obscene. Caller, real quick, 1 minute, and I got to go fast.
Zebedee, what the hell business has Simpson got telling the tear dams out in the state of Washington? He can't even take care of Idaho. Thank you.
All right, Bob. Appreciate your call. Thank you very much. Hey, I want to give a great big shout out to our major sponsor, and that's your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Wow, every day they get up, go to work, and they serve you with the best of safe driving tires. I mean, they know the tires. They know all the tires. They know, and they have all the sizes for all the vehicles. And you go in and tell them, well, I do this kind of driving, this, that, and the other. They know exactly what to suggest for the best tires for your vehicle. Stop in and see them today. And do not forget, they've got the best in brake service. Oh, boy, highly trained brake technicians, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and more. But the main thing I want to say is service. They really care, always have, at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They care about you. James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family in Paul, and my buddy Trent on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We're going to go to the news. Be back in about 7 minutes. Don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch. Oh, welcome back, Zeb at the Ranch. Good morning to you. I'm Zeb Bell, and glad to be with you with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of tires and service. And, of course, don't forget to Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Always at your disposal, and I urge you to think spring and think about getting rid of your garbage and all of that. You need to get on the route service. All you have to do, it's so easy. Just give them a call at the office, 734-6969, and say, hey, here's where I live. Could you please send your truck by on the route service once a week? Oh, yes, you're going to be so happy. Garbage gone, Western Waste Services, always at your disposal, 734-6969. Want to also give a great big shout out this morning to our friends, and we're going to be over there this afternoon right after lunch at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Nick Greenwell and his very conscientious and educated staff with all the exercises to help you get back to being you. They're located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Number to call, 678-1191. Make an appointment. Let them help you at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. And also, Nick Greenwell with Elite Fitness at 1200 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Caring for your fit self. You be sure and stop in. Great folks. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation and Elite Fitness. While we have just a moment here before we go to Dave Bego, I also want to say a great big shout out to our friends at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Joel Heward wanted me to remind everybody how much they appreciated all the support they had with the drive-up education event that they provided at Hanson Mortuary. He said, thank you. It was outstanding. I was down in Arizona, not here, didn't hear, so I did yesterday. They were very happy with all the folks that came by. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. Don't forget, they always provide the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family over at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. I have not had a chance to visit with this next gentleman for well over a month, and needless to say, I've missed my old buddy, emphasis on the word old. Hello, Dave Bego. How are you?
I am doing fine, old buddy.
Okay. This country's not doing fine, though, Dave. I'm going to be very blunt, and I'm not going to back up and hinder my remarks in any regard. I have never in all my years, 73 of them, seen more devastation, hurt, and demise of this country in 30 days like it has with the Biden administration. Do you agree or disagree?
No, I'm with you, and I saw your cow pies and coffee cups, and the points that you made on this about, energy costs and illegals and assault on the First Amendment and the hate for the Second Amendment, and they filed the morality with Biden's Equity Act. I agree with you 100%.
But therein lies the problem. I've always enjoyed having you on the air because not only are you a noted author and businessman, but you have a lot of answers for various questions. Right now, and Sean, we've got a little feedback here, please. Right now, Dave, where is the power, if any, to the American public to fight back and say they've got to stop this? Where are we going to get that power? Who's going to listen to us?
Well, Zeb, as I've said many times, we got to get the Republican Party to stand up and have a backbone and fight back on them on all this stuff. And we need to have it done at not just the national level, but the state and local levels too. And that's the only way we're going to keep them from, taking over this country.
Dave, on my trip, we left when diesel was $2.27. And on the trip coming back a month later, we were paying $1 more. And they say that there is no high. How high is up? They say that we may be seeing by Memorial Day $4 to $5 a gallon. The economy, businesses are suffering and rolling on the floor because of COVID and closures and people trying to make a living. And then the Biden administration allows this absolute stupidity. This is ridiculous.
Yes, it is. And but Zeb, the left, and they control Biden, and he's being controlled behind the scenes by Obama, I'm sure. And they want to turn this country into a socialist communist country, which eliminates the free market. And businesses are going to go out of business, and you're going to have people out there losing jobs and that. And they're going to be like Venezuela has been, who is now fighting back, by the way, because they're tired of it. People have been living in huts and boxes and everything else since the communists took over there.
Dave, I want to ask you something, and I'm going to go into various topics because we haven't had a chance to visit for quite some time. But education in this country is one that has just been dropped into a trash can. There are so many schools, there are so many state governors that are absolutely ridiculously dumb in closing the schools and siding with the teachers' unions. But yesterday, and I've heard this before leading back to Christmas, what is the statement that was said yesterday by Secretary of Education Cardona again, saying, well, we have to reimagine education. What in the world does that mean?
That means they control everything, and that's what the unions want to do, and the unions are the biggest part of trying to take down this country. And I don't know if you saw this week, but Biden is on the side of big labor in force unionizing an Amazon plant. He's told these people down there, you need to go vote and unionize the Amazon plant down in Alabama. And, this is what's going on behind the scene because the unions, they're the ones that donated the most money in this president's election to the Democratic Party and Biden. And behind the scenes, they're doing all this stuff to push it forward and take control.
How dare these teachers, and I'm not saying all teachers because fortunately I live in an area where we must have a lot smarter superintendents and principals because they're teaching the kids in school. But how dare these teachers get their wage, and go out and protest and condemn parents and condemn the fact of kids going back to school when mom and dad, through their taxes, have built the teachers' unions and their payments and the schools, and the kids get no education whatsoever. This is insanity.
is, Zeb, but the problem is, and we've been through this as a business, the unions intimidate, the politicians in the areas and everything, and they, of course, on the other side, they're promising the teachers, do this and you say this and all this stuff for us, we'll make sure you get this extra stuff and all that, which in the end, the teachers won't. But, they're basically staying home and doing nothing and getting paid.
Yep.
And that's because the unions control the politicians in many of these areas, and that's the sad part.
As a businessman, a big businessman, I would imagine that the first 39, 40 days of this administration, they have caused Dave Bego to sit back in his chair and break out in a cold sweat because we've got 4 years of this lunacy.
Well, yeah, I am worried about it, but I see that in many areas they're pushing back, and some of the things that Biden's putting into place are not moving along very fast because people are tired of this stuff and they're fighting back. And I think we're going to see even more of this. And I'm really a believer that the American people are going to wake up, and Biden's not going to be in office very long.
Let me ask you this, and again, I'm so sorry that we didn't get a chance to visit for over a month, but I'm glad that we're back together on the radio right now. But when you look at Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, and the great job that he's done with his state, you look at Kristi Noem, governor of South Dakota, you look at Greg Abbott in Texas this morning slamming his fist down and saying Texas is going back to normal. You have to salute these people and appreciate them, but then you look at the Gavin Newsoms and the Mario Cuomos, the real idiots in politics, and they control bigger numbers of population. Those poor people are really under the gun, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. But there's a lot of people in New York that are fed up with it, and they're pushing back, and they're trying to get Cuomo in trouble and indicted and stuff like that, and out of office. And I'm glad to see people like that are standing up, and that's what we need right now. But the other side of it is some of these people like the unions and the far left are going to come in and try to intimidate people and tell them to shut up.
Okay, explain that a little bit, Dave, because nobody knows more about unions and fighting and being told to shut up than you do. What kind of tactics right now are going on within, you think, the teachers' unions? Where did they get all this power that they can disrupt and destroy people's lives?
Well, it's because, the contracts are in place, and these unions, they go in and they intimidate the school systems and the politicians in those areas and states. I mean, there's some states that have opened up schools and that, like here in Indiana and that, and down in Florida and stuff like that. But, and also states where right to work is at, they don't have as much power and control, although they're trying to get right to work eliminated in all the states across this country. And then put a law into place that will never allow right to work again. And, that's what they're doing. And they go in and they intimidate these people and say, you better do what you're going to do, or we're going to beat your house, and we're going to intimidate you and your neighbors and your kids and your family and stuff like that. And that's what they do.
Changing gears a little bit, Dave, you and I have talked about illegal alien immigration into this country many, many times. And the numbers now are escalating since Biden took over. It's kind of a y'all come on in policy. And 4,000 to 5,000 illegal aliens are coming across the border every single day. But here's something that really bothered me, and I want you to elaborate on this a little bit. It's been projected now because of the laxity and stupidity of the Biden administration, over 117,000 unattended juveniles are coming in. I do not understand how any parent could send their 9, 10, 13-year-old or whatever on a journey to America, get in this country, and then, oh, mom and dad, you better come take care of them. This is insanity.
Well, it is, and but they want to bring the immigrants in here because Zeb, at the end of the day, this is all about the Democratic Party and the far left. They bring these people in and they control them, and they get them to do things cheap, except for the unions. For the unions, get them into some businesses and that. And once they get in there, then they force unionize them. And, at the end of the day, too, it's all votes so they can continue to win the votes to control this country.
Absolutely. We've got a caller with a comment for you, Dave. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Quickly, go ahead.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Sago. My feelings are that these 117,000 proposed children coming in here are being brought in to destroy our economy. I'd like to know how you feel about that.
Go ahead, Dave, please.
I think you're absolutely right. That's what they want to do. They want to bring down our economy, and that's part of what will do it. And, it's at the end of the day, they want us to not be a free market capitalistic society. They want us to be a communist socialist society where you have very few jobs and people don't make much money and they control. And that's what this is all about.
Absolutely. Thank you, caller. I appreciate your call, as always. Dave, I want to shift and go over to COVID right now and the asinine stupidity of the COVID relief bill put forth by Pelosi and others, where trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars were in this bill, but only 9%. A minuscule amount was actually for the COVID relief. What did you as a businessman think about that?
Well, it doesn't surprise me. They do that stuff because they speak out of both sides of the mouth, and they're hypocrites. And they do this stuff so they get people to vote for the bill and get it passed and all that. And at the end of the day, and I've been through this again with the unions and that, and they do it to the people out there and to the people they're trying to organize and get on their side and that, so they're trying to brainwash people, and that's what this is all about.
Let me ask you about the mechanics of what's going on due to COVID in this country. We hear braying jackasses like the governor of California, Newsom, and we hear another braying jackass back in New York, Cuomo, etc. And then we hear another one of the herd, Fauci, say that we may never return to normal again. What are your thoughts when you hear that?
They're just lying to the people, and they're doing it on purpose to brainwash them and get them to do what they want to do and stand behind them. And that's what these people are all about. And as I've said on your show before, they control the education. They want to control the education, which they've done over the last 40 years or more, so that they brainwash these people that the true future of America that's best is going with a far left liberal country, and because they say when we go that way, you're going to get this, you're going to get this free on all this free, and you're not going to have to work very hard and do all that stuff. But at the end of the day, that's not true.
You know, and you follow the news, that you and I, talking on this radio program, may become, quote-unquote, an endangered species because the left is going to various networks, the left is doing all they can to make appeals to get our voices stymied, stopped, and forever buried. They don't want any conservative thought on the radio. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think you're right, and it's just their way of taking over the country and dominating us, and that's what they're trying to do, Zeb. And it's really sad, and I think these networks need to stand up.
Yeah, there again, though, there's only one or two that you can say offer a semblance of free speech. I'm going to salute Fox News, various elements of Fox News, their morning program, very committed to a free speech type atmosphere. But we lost a great voice in Rush Limbaugh's passing. I'm going to do all I can to keep carrying the torch, but little by little, step by step, like an Abbott Costello comedy routine, the left is out to get us to shut up.
Yeah, they want to silence us all because
Okay, plugging you in.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Right on cue, when we were being talked about being shut up and harassed by the left, we went off the air. Gee, isn't that funny it happened that way? Dave, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Well, it was really comical. I had to giggle a little bit in some kind of a unsecure manner that we went off the air when we were talking about being pushed off the air, and then it clicked and down we went. So go ahead and continue your thought, please.
Like I say, this is again. It goes back to silencing the right and the conservatives so that they can control the other ones and brainwash them. And the people in this country need to wake up what's going on, because they're not going to get free everything, and they're not going to have a better life. Their life is going to drop and go in the other direction.
You've always been a very fair personality in your assessment of what's going on. And when you look at the Biden persona in front of a camera, a shell of a man that really can't understand where he is or what he's saying without a teleprompter, very, very unstable as far as his physical demeanor, etc. How much longer do you think it may be before there's an open door policy and somebody shows Joe Biden the back door, and thus here comes Kamala Harris?
I would not be surprised if it is in the next 3 to 4 months, Deb.
That's kind of my thinking, too. And when you look at the man, he can't really make an assessment of what he's really talking about and or where he is or who he's talking to. But with Kamala Harris, do you have different fears and trepidations if she were to take over the presidency?
Oh, yeah, I think she'll push real hard to the left, because she was very much a part of that. And I think Obama is behind him in this, steering him on a lot of this stuff.
I totally agree with you. Dave, I've always enjoyed having you on the program. I thank you much for your time and your effort to take away from your busy business day to come on this show. And hopefully it'll continue. We've got beautiful weather here. I wish the same to you in Indiana. And think spring, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thanks. We've got a great day coming up today, so look forward to it, and you take care.
And I got a feeling that you're going to be on the golf course tea time, 3 o'clock this afternoon, right?
No, it's not that warm yet.
Okay. God bless you, man. Thank you. All right. Dave Bego, Indianapolis, Indiana, a very dear friend of this program. Enjoy having him on. Great author and, like I said, a great businessman. Thank you very much. I want to talk to you a little bit about a great place to eat. Great. That's what we're using. The word this morning is great. Denny's Restaurant. Boy. Absolutely phenomenal food. 611 North Overland in Burley with Thomas and the crew, and then another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Just to let the cat out of the bag a little bit, we are making plans today, for the next lunch bunch. Yes, a resurgence of the lunch bunch. I'm going to be visiting with Thomas a little bit later on this morning. I want to remind everybody, stop in and enjoy breakfast, lunch, and dinner anytime, all the time, all the desserts, everything at Denny's Restaurant, along with great people. There's that word great again, at Denny's Restaurant in Burley. Yep, it's true. America's Diner. You know, I've said for a long time that I am not inclined musically. I would love to be able to play, and my favorite piece of equipment would be the guitar. And little by little, day by day, since Marcus Meeks called me here a couple days ago and let everybody know that he's back in the business of giving lessons, I have had my inspiration peaked a little bit to the point where I'm thinking seriously of taking guitar lessons along with you at Marcus Meeks. This guy really can play. He can teach all styles of guitar, and he teaches daily, 2 to 6 p.m. daily, and right at his home at 1459 Conant Avenue in Burley. I urge you to call and set up a time to learn to play the guitar. This man knows. 312-9093. That number again, 312-9093. And Marcus Meeks, one of the most accomplished guitarists anywhere, anytime, giving guitar lessons. You get a hold of him today, okay? He's been out of the business for a while, retired, adopts a new family situation, and I'll guarantee you he's back in the business of teaching guitar, and you and I ought to learn. Call him, Marcus Meeks, 312-9093. Wow, we're going to have our next guest coming on the program momentarily. I also want to give a great big shout out to our friends, and boy, they are our friends. They've done a lot of work to help us, and they will do the same for you, and that's Cameron and Siemens Insurance. When you think about life insurance, when you think about health insurance, retirement planning, or employee benefits for your business, you better stop and think about our friends, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. It's so easy to make an appointment, so easy to get started. Just give them a call, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. They are always accessible and devoted to serving you. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, you get a hold of them today. I had this gentleman on the program prior to my going to Arizona for a month, and I've got a lot of respect for him and what he talks about. He has written a book, and it's called It Takes a Revolution, and we say good morning again to Larry Klayman. Good morning, Larry. How are you?
He is not on the line. I've been trying to get him. I've called many times. I'm still trying.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Deanne, I threw away those other... here it is right here. There's an alternate number. I'll just give you the alternate number on the air. Is that all right, Sean?
Okay.
All right, 561-558-5336. Try that if you would, please, sir.
I'm on it.
All right, buddy. I know you are. Like a cat to a plate of milk. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Larry Klayman, I believe, will be on the air in just a moment. Until then, we would be more than happy. Oh, you have no idea. More than happy to have you give us a call and share your opinions about anything this morning. And love to have you on the program. One of the things that I noticed last night on the news, and I want to get your opinion on this, is that why are Democrats so ashamed of being white or male? Former CIA head John Brennan, a man that I despise because he's a liar, a fraud, and a charlatan, and the proof is in the pudding. That's been brought up and proven on many instances. Coming out and saying, well, I'm so ashamed to be a white male. What is this purging? Please, somebody help me on this morning. What is and why is there an attitude of purging and denigrating and holding with despise anybody of the white race? Ah, well, you're a privileged white guy. You're a white nationalist. Well, because you're white, you're a bigot and you're a racist. That's the attitude. And now there is a huge apology tour going on by people that have been in office, whether it's the Obama administration. People can't get a hold of him. Holy smokes, I wonder where he is. You might want to call his booking agent and see if we can find out where he is, Deanne, real quick. Why is there such a hatred for being white? Please, somebody call me and let me know the answer on that, if you would, please. We're having trouble getting a hold of Larry Klayman. Deanne's working on it right now, and we'll do the best we can to find out where he is. But give me a call right now on the landline at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear from you. I cannot believe that people are ashamed as to who they are and what they are. And this saying, I'm ashamed to be white. Are you ashamed of who you are? Are you ashamed when you look in the mirror and you have Caucasian white skin? or maybe you're highly successful as to your business and what you've accomplished, I sure as heck am not ashamed. I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of what I've done in my life. We all should be. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb. My name's Dennis Hakes, and I'm a proud white male, and totally not ashamed to be so.
Dennis, I know who you are, and I know what you've done in the community, and I salute and respect you. Where did this kind of garbage, and that's what it is, garbage, where did this start, that we have to hate who we are, and we have to disrespect what we've accomplished? Where did all this start, Why?
It comes from the left, and it's trying to divide us so they can conquer us. And I tell you what, I think there's less racism in this country than there's been probably since its inception.
I totally agree with you.
They love each other, and it's just a tool of evil to try and divide us.
Absolutely. Okay, but therein lies another question, and I hope you've got an answer. With the division that's being caused in this country by many whites like this dipstick John Brennan, that I absolutely have nothing but disrespect for, and others that are trying to play the race card, how do we combat this?
We've got to stand up and state our opinion even more so. We've got to live by example that we do love all races and people, and we don't have any prejudices, and the color of skin, all it is a color.
You know, there's an assumption that if, and today this is very unfortunate, Dennis, but there's an assumption that if you're white, you're automatically against the blacks or the Negroes in our society. I'm going to call it like it is on this program. I'm not going to back up. There are three classifications of mankind: Mongoloid, Negroid, and Caucasoid, and until they take and erase those words, I'm going to keep using them. Why is it all of a sudden that the whites are guilty of everything?
Well, like I said, Zeb, I think it's just a tool to cause chaos, to cause distrust, to cause hatred between the races. That's what communism has done every time it's tried to sink its dirty hands into a community, is to divide and conquer and cause distrust between each other.
Absolutely. Dennis, let me ask you this.
This Saturday, we have on March 6th, we have a mass burning event. Have you heard about that?
I've been gone. I'm not up to speed as to what's going on, so share with me, please.
There is a mass burning event in a lot of the communities around this state. And the purpose of burning this mask, we're not saying that masks are bad. If you choose to wear a mask, great, wear a mask. But we don't want the government mandating to us that you have to wear a mask. And our governor refused to drop all of his mandates, even though we have dropped below the level of a pandemic, way below the level of a pandemic. When our state representatives came to speak to us 2 weeks ago, we had 39 people in the hospital with COVID in the state of Idaho. And we do not have a pandemic anymore, and there is not one reason that Governor Little should not drop his mandate. We cannot let this place, our beautiful Idaho, become California. So Saturday at North Freedom Park Marina in Burley, Idaho, we are going to have bring your mask if you'd like to come and participate with a good group of people. All colors, all people come together and tell the governor that we do not support his mandate.
Dennis, let me ask you, what time is this going to start?
10 o'clock a.m. March 6th, please come.
All right.
This will be a videotaped event. We're going to have fun. It's going to be music. It'll be people gathering that like and love each other and want to get together and make things normal.
Absolutely. I want you to do me a favor.
Come out and join us. We're going to laugh. We're going to play. There'll probably be a football there to throw around. We're going to have a good American experience.
I love what you're doing, Dennis, and here's what I want you to do. I want you to call back tomorrow morning at exactly 8:30. We'll plug it again on my program. Thank you for your call today. I do appreciate it.
Thanks for all you do, Zeb. Appreciate you.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Saturday, this coming Saturday, March 6th, a mask burning event. I love the concept. You know, if more people would stand up and let their feelings and thoughts be known, this is going to be at the North Freedom Park Marina, I should say, not arena, Marina in Burley, and starting at 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. Everybody try to be there, and Dennis will call in again tomorrow morning, and we'll have a highlight on that one more time at 8:30 tomorrow morning. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Zeb. I just wanted to call in and let you know that not everyone who's listening to your program is a white male. There are Hispanics amongst your audience, and I'm one of them, though I may not sound like it on the radio. And I support you 100% in your actions. You asked the rhetorical question of why are they doing these things? Why are they trying to shame the white man? And this is my belief. The reason they're doing it is so they can push through the policies that they want. They do want to control this country. Now, I have seen racism in the past, and it's affected my life. But things are so much better than they were in the 50s and the 60s when I was a child. So, you know, as I look back, I think, what racism are they talking about? I look at the NBA. How many of those players are multi-millionaires and are black? I look at the fact that we've had a president, though he's a mulatto, was half black. There's not... is there still a little racism around? Yeah, I think there probably is. Individual pockets, individual people. It's hard to drive it out, but we are so much better now today than we used to be in the past. I just don't see the reason for all these things they're trying to do.
Let me ask you a quick question, please. How would you personally define racism or define who would be a racist? How would you define it?
Well, frankly, I think a lot of what's going on with the blacks now is race against the white people.
There you
against
go.
The white males. You're simply judging another people by the color of their skin. I'm sure you remember the quote by Martin Luther King, I want to be judged by the content of my character, not
That's
the
right.
color of my skin.
That's right.
That's exactly how I feel. But they're using these policies. One of the things they've been pushing for, of course, are reparations for blacks. Now, I'm sorry, but that ship has sailed. I mean, when was the last slave still alive?
Well, the last slave still alive, I mean, we're talking at the turn of the 20th century, probably, and I am sick and tired of being accused as being a racist and not having feelings of inferiority to go ahead and write a portion of my check on my taxes to pay something that happened well over 200 years ago that I had nothing to do with.
You're absolutely right. There's no reason to push these through. Here's what's going to happen. Let's say that they get reparations, and they start paying black people with at least 50% heritage black a check every month.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think they're going to vote for in the future?
You got it, buddy.
They're never going to want those checks cut.
And
power for the
And please explain to me one quick thing. How do they discern which families actually came from a genetic tree of racist or slavery?
Well, the opinion out there is that all blacks have been oppressed for centuries. That's just the policy that they have. That's the belief that they have. Now, we both know that there were blacks even in the South, some of which were treated well, and there were many in the North that were treated well as well.
That's right.
But they just want to paint it all with a broad brush and just take and get. It's all about the policies and what they want to accomplish. They want to get this niche so that they can get a higher percentage of the blacks voting for them every election, so that they never again lose an election. That's one of the reasons the borders are going to be opened up, so they can let these people from third world countries into the United States, and they're going to be beholden to the Democrats, because they say, we're your friends, we're the ones who allowed you in the country, and we're providing you all these benefits. You need to continue to vote for us if you want those benefits, and it's wrong.
Amen. You know something, I really salute you and say thank you for your time and effort to call in. Your spot of thinking is spot on. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I have not seen or encountered racism here in Burley for many, many years.
Absolutely.
It's all but dead. And for them to keep pushing this is just appalling to me. And I know of a lot of Hispanics who feel the same way as I do.
Amen.
Sometimes that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And caller number 2, I'll be right with you. I promise I've got to get this weather forecast on quickly. I know some folks that are starting to burn the midnight oil, and for that matter, the early morning oil at their desk, and that's, of course, the professionals serving you with the best of accounting services, and that's Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. The best in tax return preparation, tax planning, financial statement preparations, retirement planning, all of this and so much more. They care, and that's why they are the professionals serving you with the best in accounting services, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Scotty with the weather.
Looks like it's shaping up to be a very nice week. Here's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. For today, going to be sunshine, a high of 51. There is going to be a little bit of a breeze for tonight. Partly cloudy, 26 the low. For Thursday, sunshine and 56. The wind will be calming down just a little bit. Thursday night, mostly clear with a low of 27. For Friday, mostly sunny and a high near 60 for Friday night. Mostly cloudy and a low of 33. Saturday, partly sunny, a high of 55. And Sunday, sunshine and 53. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. Have an amazing day.
Thank you, Scotty. Well said, well said. And, of course, the people that really provide professional accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area and beyond for well over 50 years, that's, of course, our friends. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices at 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. Work with the best. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Caller, if you're still there, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Zeb, thanks for taking my call. Hey, I was going to say, this whole thing with the anti-white movement is kind of reminiscent to the anti-religion movement. And I think what it is they target us, and we're just easy targets because they know a lot of us aren't going to fight back because nobody wants to be called a racist. And I think that's part of the problem we're facing right now.
You know, you bring up a good segment of what I was going to talk about in the next segment with Pastor Alex Lissau. Why is it that people of color are looking at Caucasians and demanding that they're racist and that they're privileged, and then when it comes to Christianity, they're condemning Christianity, condemning the Bible, and condemning what this country was founded upon? This makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Oh, it makes absolutely no sense to me. And the funny thing is I can't remember where I heard it, but I think someone was saying, reparations should be paid, but they should be paid by the Democrat Party because the Democrat Party is the ones who put all this racism into place way back when and have done nothing but fuel it and fuel it and fuel it. And we've seen that as clear as day with the Obama administration, now with the Biden-Harris administration.
But, Kevin, let me ask you this. When you start paying reparations for a wrong that may have been committed, notice the word I used was may have been committed as much as 200 years ago, where do you stop? Do you go to the Battle of the Alamo? Do you go to Southern California? Do you go to Southern Florida? Where do you go as far as stopping reparations for a group of people that may feel that they've been wronged in their ancestry over 200 years ago? The sky is the limit once you start this.
Oh, yeah, because you could even go into religious reparations and all kinds of other things for other organizations and stuff like that. So I think, what we need to do is just stand up and say, look, we're not going to deal with this, and put these people in their place and say, look, we're not racist and you know it. But the problem is we got too many. I think one of the biggest problems, and I was talking with somebody this morning about this, is we got too many woke white people causing all the problems. Because how many times throughout the last year did we hear all these black neighborhoods saying, hey, you white people stay out of here because you're making our lives more miserable than they have to be?
When you say, I really appreciate your terminology there, but when you say woke white people, where do you think that the term woke came from and why? Why are we subjected to hearing this garbage? There's another word I want to use, but I can't right now on the radio. Why are we subjected to this woke generation?
That's a good question. I have no idea. It seems like it's this woke generation that everybody's talking about is a generation of people who just want free hand-me-downs and want things to happen their way and don't want to really achieve anything or try and do anything. And it's actually embarrassing to the other minorities and the younger people who are actually out there trying to make a buck and fighting and really pushing to make this country better.
I just don't understand why we can't replace all the racism, why we can't replace all the insinuations about color, skin color, etc., and just go back to the basics of everybody has their own personal pride. Everybody should go out and try to make the best of their life and the assets that God has given them. Never accept less than what you deserve or have worked for, and do the best you can and be proud of the net result.
Oh, no, I totally agree with you. I mean, and it's just idiotic, like with this whole thing with Dr. Seuss. I was just talking earlier this morning with somebody, and I'm like, I don't ever remember picking up a Dr. Seuss book and seeing a white person, a black person, or a brown person in those books. It's always purple, yellow, green, or some other color. And if anyone in the left would do their history, Dr. Seuss was a big anti-racist guy. So, I mean, to sit there and say that all his books are racist is just idiotic. And it just goes into and shows the stupidity that these people on the left are what they're trying to push and how they're doing it. And this racism thing is a real dangerous thing because nobody wants to be called a racist, but that's the one thing they're using against everybody.
Yeah, but let me throw this at you, and I said it earlier with a lady that called in this morning, and I maintain that I'm right on this, and we're going to see this. The scare that I have, the fear that I have, is that it will not be very much longer in this cancel culture attitude, which is absolutely demonic, that they will be going after the Bible, they will be going after a rewrite of the Bible. They will be going after certain parts of the Bible and demanding that they be stricken. Once that happens, all bets are off.
Well, you're 100% right. I mean, you take a look at what's going on in Russia and how they've done things, throughout the years and everything. They don't even, what kind of Bible do they have? I mean, Christmas is a Christian, holiday. But yet you go to Russia, and they've got their own Christmas holiday based on their own government religion.
Yeah. What would you say?
You're right. We're walking down that lane.
Yep.
And I'm just afraid we get down there too far. How do we turn it back around?
There you go. I want to revert one last question to you in regards to the former CIA head, John Brennan. He, like many on the left, they are so embarrassed and ashamed of their whiteness and being a white male. If you were in a green room waiting to go on stage for a TV interview and you were sitting there with John Brennan, what would you tell this leech? What would you tell him?
It's so funny you say that because I was thinking about this yesterday when I read that article. I would say to him, you know what, you're 100% right, except with one exception. You are a disgrace to the human race, and you need to be extinguished.
I can't argue with you because my temper is at a point where when I hear all this garbage every single day, I've talked to Deanne about it many, many times, the sky is the limit as to what the left is trying to insert into our daily lifestyle to make everybody more hateful of everyone else.
Oh, I know. And I was just thinking about this the other day. I don't know how the talk show hosts do it because you'd think you would all be raging alcoholics having to listen to all this stuff every day because how do you deal with this on a day in, day out basis of having to listen to this and be told how horrible of a person you are because you're white or you've got white ancestry, or or you're acting too much like a white person. I mean, it's just idiotic.
I appreciate your call. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Have a wonderful day.
Hey,
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciated his insight. Thank you. Ooh, I tell you what, I am not ashamed of who I am. I am not ashamed of the color of my skin. I am not ashamed of my family tree. I am not ashamed of the things that I have and own because of my career. I am not ashamed. Not whatsoever. I want to remind you about some other people that are not ashamed, and they can help you with all your electronic needs, and that's Patterson's Electronics at 421 East Main in Burley. I wished I had their knowledge about all this stuff. I mean, they are so sharp. Curtis and Lorena and the staff over there at Patterson's Electronics, I mean, they know everything about all the home theater systems and the surveillance cameras, and they know everything about car stereos and speakers, about sound systems, what's good, what's bad, what's ugly, what's great. They know everything, and all the TVs, too. They really are knowledgeable and can help you at Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley, open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. Don't forget Patterson's Electronics. Caller, I've got exactly 1 minute left. Go ahead, please.
Well, when Tom Brady won the Super Bowl for the 6th time, like him or not, he's white and accomplished. He was a 5th-round draft pick, and he's made himself into the consummate professional, and he obviously is eating something right because he's obviously in better shape than me.
Oh, that's a good way to wrap up the first hour, my friend. I got to run to the news, but God bless you. You made me chuckle this morning. Thanks, Randy. Okay. Oh, my. Hey, we're going to take a little break. Coming up next hour, we're going to start a new segment called Why Not God with Pastor Alex Lissau, a very dear friend. And then at 10:30, you don't want to miss the man from Beantown, Gary Goldman, back in Boston, Massachusetts. All of this coming up on Zeb at the Ranch. We will be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, welcome back. Here we go, hour number 3 on this, my goodness, March 3rd already. 17 days officially on the calendar from spring. Spring! I love spring and summer. Hey, by the way, we're brought to you by your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best in tires and service. And also our dear friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Zeb at the Ranch, and right now this good word for our friends at Bennett Boys Auction Service. Don't forget, they've got a great big auction coming up this Saturday, March 6th. This coming Saturday at 11 a.m. They'll bring the gavel down at the Filer Community Auction at the Twin Falls County Fairgrounds. Don't forget, they'll have lunch by the Cook Shack, and if you've got in this open consignment auction, if you've got something you want to consign, call them. Call my buddy Joe at 208-539-0111. Bennett Boys Auction Service, serving you at the Filer Community Auction this coming Saturday, March 6th at 11 o'clock. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, yep, they sell them all. Don't forget, too, our dear friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. I know Deanne talked to Jeff, and they are really going great guns on a great low-price sales promotion on mattresses. All the mattresses in stock on sale. Oh, get a good night's sleep. Absolutely. Check out the mattress buys at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Don't forget window coverings, 40% off. And they've got all the new floor coverings, carpet tile, luxury vinyl. Hey, man, I'm telling you, come take it off the floor. It's ready for your home. Beautiful, beautiful comfortization and everything at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, with a very knowledgeable staff serving you Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, Saturdays 10 to 4. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. I said last couple of days that I'm going to start a new segment on Wednesdays at 10:06, and it's going to be called Why Not God? And the reason for the title is a lot of the left loons and people that have turned their back on God have tried a lot of things, none of which worked. And so now I think it's past time, to go back to the basics. So why not God? And with us on this show every week will be Pastor Alex Lissau, a very dear friend of mine from Zion Lutheran Church in Burley. Good morning, Pastor. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. God bless you, my friend.
Well, I say the same right back at you, Pastor Alex. I've got a lot of respect for you, and you're very straightforward in your speech. You're not going to mince words for anybody. Why not God? Do you think that the American public today has they've tried everything? I mean, they've gone to drugs. They've gone to all kinds of different political affiliations, etc. Why not going back to the basics that this country was founded on? So why not God?
Well, you're absolutely right. And we ask that question. I think we in the church ask that question a lot, because part of our calling from God is to go out into the world and to make disciples, to teach them, and, to baptism and all of what Matthew 28 tells us about. And it's interesting how things have evolved in our time. And, you were just saying here a little bit earlier, 17 days till spring. 16 days from now, I'm going to turn my 75th year. And in that 75 years that I've lived, I've seen such dramatic changes in the church, such dramatic changes in faith and the attitude and the knowledge, I must say, ignorance of our society. What has happened that has driven us away from God? And I think about my youth, from the time I was a baby and all the way up through my life. I've always been a believer and sent to church. And in fact, I used to hear it just like they used to say in a comical way. I used to be drugged. I was drugged to church. I was drugged to family events. I was drugged to all kinds of things about discipline and responsibility and effort to be the best person I could be. And not that I have always been the best person I can be, but I think that society and the environment around us, the influence that we deal with, have changed things to the point where we're so smart we don't think we need God anymore, and that's a problem.
What you just said, I want to kind of pick apart some of the phrases that you said. The best you can be. I think that is what's missing within our education system and even up to the workforce today, that people are mollycoddled and people are told, well, you don't have to do this because we'll pay you anyway, or you don't have to pursue this or put forth your best foot because you're still going to get rewarded or given a gift. I think that we've lost personal responsibility and we're not being the best we can be.
You're absolutely right. I think that that's exactly the case, and I think what we've evolved into in our society is an appeasement style of society. Whatever seems to be your penchant or your plan or your personal idea takes precedent over what is proper and correct or what has been taught and raised up. And a lot of it, I think, has to do with the fact that we haven't been teaching the truth. And again, if we go back to the question, why not God, it's because God hasn't been taught in many cases and situations. And it's interesting, over the years, as I've been involved in ministry, I've seen this, and it's been a heartbreaker, because you see the church actually shrinking in terms of people attending and activities, and the youth that used to be very active in our church and our communities has kind of dribbled away, and a lot of that has to do with education. A lot of that has to do with education in the home, the foundation of the family. The father is the head of the family, the mother being the peacemaker and lover and comforter, and all of those things that come with life as God has planned it and desired it because of His creation. And as I look at Scripture, it teaches very strongly that in the beginning God created. He made male and female. And he did that for the purpose of having a family structure. That's the foundational structure of our society. And somehow that has been twisted and turned, and frankly, a lot of it has been lost in our society.
You know, Pastor, it goes without saying that you and I are almost exactly the same age. And when you look back 30, 40, 50 years ago to where we were young men, never would we think at that time that we would be seeing someone or hearing someone like Bill Maher from HBO shouting death to religion, or that we would be hearing stories about monuments in Washington that are whitewashed and the words God and prayer are eliminated. Or we'd read a story about religious crosses that were confiscated. Or we'd hear about children's foreheads with the Lenten ashes on their forehead being scrubbed off at school and told never to do that again. We never thought 30, 40, 50 years ago we would evolve to where we are now.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And I kind of have felt that way for a long time. You know, I go back to my youth when I wound up going to Vietnam, and when I came back from the service and I went back to college, I went home to my wife and I said, I don't know what the heck has happened to our society, but this is, 4 years ago when I was in school before I went off into the military, and now I've come back and the place is turned upside down. There's all kinds of foolishness out there going on and all kinds of craziness, and Scripture speaks to that a lot. We see this in the Psalms, in Psalms 14 and 53. The fool says in his heart, there is no God. It's just a situation where people have lost their moorings. It's kind of like a ship without a rudder, as we hear oftentimes from Scripture. We're out there floating in high seas, and we can't figure out why we can't seem to get a direction and go. And everybody has their own personal agenda and their own personal programs. And I have to admit, I think that the church itself has not been as diligent as it should be to stand up for what is right and proper. And I know that some of my brothers in the faith are going to say to me, well, I'm not so sure you're absolutely right. And that's fine. Let them have their positions. I think what I see in our society and what I see in our time is that we have not been diligent enough to take the word into the world and stand up against those things which contradict faith.
Pastor, one of the things that really bothers me in our society is that politics, especially, and I'm going to name names, the Democratic Party and leadership of the Democratic Party, has demeaned God and demeaned church-going, etc., basically demeaning Christianity. And now politics has played into Satan's hands with policies that are completely immoral and absurd, i.e. what we saw in the last couple of weeks with the passages of the Equality Act. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. What we're trying to do is appease or satisfy every single person on the face of the earth, regardless of what their characteristics are or attitudes are or opinions or aptitudes or whatever it is. And we're trying to solve everybody's problem as though we're going to somehow reach a point of perfection, which is clearly not possible. I think for who we are as human beings, we have a tendency to be selfish and self-focused in a lot of ways, and sometimes our pride drives us crazy. As Scripture says, pride goes before the fall. Man has a struggle in his life every day of trying to live according to God's will and God's purpose. I have that problem. I'm sure you have that problem, and I know people all around have that problem. Fortunately, by having faith, by the fact that we look toward Jesus Christ as our Lord and our Savior, He's promised to give us those things which we need if we have faith in Him and trust in His Word. He went all the way to the cross and gave His life for the forgiveness of sins, and yet we continue to live as though sin is a common practice and acceptable behavior at every level of our society.
Pastor, this Equality Act scares me because I think and I feel that the equality that's been given to women over the many, many years, and the ability to play sports on an even keel financially with a lot of the men's sports, Title IX is going to go into the trash basket because of transgenderism, especially transgender men are now going to be allowed with this Equality Act not only to participate on girls' teams, but also it's mandated that they will be allowed access to locker rooms and restrooms of their choice. This is sick.
Well, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, it is, if I may, Zeb, a few years ago, it's probably been 4 or 5 years ago now, I went to a pastor's conference in which there was a number of pastors from around the area. And as we sat down to listen to our primary speaker, he was also a pastor. He was also a PhD in sociology, and he spoke on the subject of gender dysphoria. And the word dysphoria itself addresses kind of, there's many, I think, different definitions to that, but it's adolescents with depression, dysphoria, mania, anxiety disorders, and those kinds of things. And he came to speak about those things because the church, especially he was from California, so he especially talked about the fact that in California there were certain things being implemented and put into place that were causing the church some great problems. And one of the problems that he spoke about was an instance in which a guy comes walking into the church, and he's 6'6", he weighs 300 pounds, and he's wearing knee socks, a mini skirt, a wig, and a tank top. And he demands to be treated and called by a female name, and he's clearly hairy legs, hairy chest. And the problem was that even though the pastor of that church tried to be calm and serve that individual by speaking to him and kind of pulling him aside to keep from the problem being created within the congregation at that particular time of the service, it turns out that he complained about the fact that he was not going to be denied the freedom to be what he wanted to be. And the state law apparently was, in fact, coming upon the church and saying, hey, you need to be cautious of this because you could lose your status. You could lose your tax-exempt status, et cetera, et cetera. And so one of the things that he was talking to us about is how do we solve this problem? How do we deal with it when we're faced with these circumstances? And unfortunately, not as part of this discussion was how we stand up against it and how we do something to make it proper and right, but how we have to deal with it and how we have to live with it. And unfortunately, I think we've done that. We've lived with things that have put us in the situations we're in our time today. And all these things with regard to, I don't have any hate for anybody. I don't care what their personal situation is, their characteristics, or their circumstances are in life. I treat those individuals as individuals who need care and compassion and love and so on and so forth. But at the same time, if they're going to attack everything that we stand for, if they're going to force us into a situation that we have no control over, then suddenly we have to do something. And I think that is where we are in our society today.
Isn't it funny or strange that the Democratic Party today always says, well, you're not listening to the science. Well, you're not adhering to the science. But yet there are only scientifically two genders, male and female, but the Democratic Party seems to ignore that.
Well, that's true. I think, that's no question about it. We want to make everybody generally the same, and therefore you are allowing men to participate in women's sports, and in fact you're allowing women to participate in men's sports. Here not long ago there was a young man who was an outstanding wrestler. He was one of the finest in the state, apparently undefeated and so on and so forth, and when he went into this championship he had to wrestle. They were going to make him wrestle against a female, and he chose to lose. He chose to forfeit rather than winning his championship because of the fact that he was unwilling to succumb to that kind of demand. And so, where that craziness comes from, where that mental kinds of situation comes from, I really don't have an answer other than what is the standard answer for me as a pastor, and that is that sin has taken over the minds of people. We conduct ourselves as though we have no respect for anything that God created. And And God created clearly. He created man and he created woman, and they're distinctively different, and they're distinctively different for a reason, for a purpose. And yet we're trying to fold everything in to satisfy every prurient and every oddball idea that's out there. And I think that gets us in deeper trouble rather than solve the issues and problems with gender dysphoria.
You know, Pastor, when you stop and think about it, when these senators and congressmen gather in their respective chambers and are reading a bill like the Equality Act, and they say, oh, yeah, I think it's great that transgender men dress and use restroom facilities and play on girls' teams, it makes you wonder what kind of an absolutely low-life family situation they have that they don't have more respect for their daughters and sons.
Well, and I wonder if they're just kowtowing under the politically correct notion that if they do those kinds of things, that somehow they are going to be more acceptable in their particular roles and responsibilities. But it drives me crazy to hear these kinds of things because, I mean, they pass these legislation without actually, I don't think that they really have their thumb on the pulse of the American people. They certainly don't have their thumb on the pulse of the church and the faith and the faithful Christians of our society in our day. In fact, as you know, Zeb, it wasn't just but a few conferences ago that the Democrat Party chose to initially remove God from their entire platform. Mm-hmm. And then they turned around because somebody probably caught them in a backstage behind the wall and said, we got to rethink this because we do have people within the party that are people of God. And so, you know, they changed their attitude. But I think the general attitude is we don't need a God, and that man created God, and God didn't create man. And so we go on with these kinds of foolishness, and we try to appease every kind of idea and thought that is out there. And what we're doing is we're making a mockery of what is biological, what is scientific. I mean, for Pete's sakes, you know, all creatures are created for a specific design and purpose, and you know, it's not intended to be all fits one, you know.
Is it fair to say, in the remaining time that we have this morning, is it fair to say that we as a society have basically taken a great big rug and put it over the words right and wrong, and there is no more right and wrong? There is no more black and white. Is it fair to say that we've got away from decency in that regard?
Well, I agree 100%. I think we have in that regard, and I'm not, you know, I'm not painting the entire society with the same broad brush. I mean, we have a lot of, and God bless us that we're fortunate to live in a more conservative place here in Idaho, and we have people that stand up for righteousness and truth, and but you know, at the same time, we also have our problems. We also have the changes, and things are moving in a direction that I don't think are all that good. I mean, I feel when people move into the area, they bring with them their little agendas and so on and so forth, and we have to deal with those issues. We have to stand up for what is right and true, and the politics of the situation is something that is so difficult for us to control. There's a lot of things in our society we have no control over, but certainly the politics of things, and rather than people that are in these different positions, whether it be at the local level, at the council level, at the city, state, and federal government, whatever there may be, they're supposed to be servants of the people, the will of the people, and not dictators of what they consider to be appropriate.
We have a caller, and I've got exactly 1 minute and 30 seconds left. Caller, real fast. Go ahead, please.
Well, you know, the 80 million people that voted for Trump, and that's how many voted for him. You know, I think, what percentage of those people do you think realized that if we turn away from God, our land will, you know, this isn't quoted scripture, well, our land will suffer. If we turn back to God, you know, he will heal our land. And so, do you think that the 80 million that voted for Trump, you know, or 75 million, whatever you call it, do you think a majority of them realized that we need to turn back to God, and they realized the importance of, you know, all that? Do you think that that was a
it could be true. I'll hang up.
All right, real fast, Pastor, go ahead and respond.
I'm not a statistician, but I can tell you that I believe a lot of those people voted because they want things back to what is considered the best for America. And I believe that when we go back to the history of our country, those who stood in the pulpits from the very beginning of time stood up and spoke out for God. And I think there's a heck of a lot of people in our society, in many places, especially the flyover country and so on and so forth, that people are strong, individual, faithful people. And the whole process of wanting to have Trump in office was there for a reason, because he was giving power back to the people, the common man. He was making possible for people to be able to worship God without threat and damage and concerns of those kinds he was doing. But at the same time, everybody was working against him. The media, all kinds of different organizations were working against him. And that created a problem for him in the view of so many people that aren't paying attention.
Amen.
To the church, to the Bible, to God, or to those places where it is spoken of about God. And so, I look at a person as an individual who, what has he done for us? What has he accomplished? Has he fulfilled his promises? When he was he elected on the basis of promises he made, and will he fulfill those promises? And the promises that he made, I don't care whether you like the way he talked or the way he looked or anything else. The fact is he performed. And everybody in this country deserves someone who serves them rather than dictating to them.
Amen. Every Wednesday, I'm looking forward to this segment, Why Not God, with my dear friend, Pastor Alex Lissau with the Zion Lutheran Church in Burley. Thank you, my dear friend. God bless you, and we'll look forward to next Wednesday. Thank you again.
God bless you and the people. May the Lord be with them.
Thank you, sir. Wow, I really am excited about that segment because he is a very outspoken individual, and I have utmost respect for him, Pastor Alex Lissau. I'll tell you something else. We're going to send it back over to our main studio right now. I'll be back in about 3 minutes. Don't go away. Gary Goldman coming up in the next half hour.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
I want to remind everybody about a great place to go eat, and it simply is this. Wick's Steak Place and Burnout Saloon, 18 East Main Street in Declo. I'm telling you, folks, Gomer used to say on Andy Griffith's show, Shazam! Well, I'll tell you, that's how I felt when they handed me that great big huge plate of the prime rib. Oh, and Deanne had the finger steaks. It was fantastic. Shazam! It's good food over at Wick's Steak Place and Burnout Saloon in Declo. Believe me, they specialize in all sorts of goodies. Whether it's hamburgers to steaks, prime rib, you name it, it's there for you and your family and your friends at Wick's Steak Place and Burnout Saloon, 18 East Main Street in Declo. You're going to enjoy great eating. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and I'm sorry to keep this man waiting. I'm running a little bit behind this morning, and I just want to say this is the segment that we've dubbed the Cowboy and the Man from Beantown back in Boston, Massachusetts. Hello, Gary Goldman. How are you?
Zeb Bell, I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing, my friend?
I am great. I took the last month off to go to Arizona and kind of get refurbished and re-implemented to go back on the program, and here we are. Gary, I got to ask you, right up front, where in the world is this country going after almost 40 days of stupidity with Joe Biden?
Unfortunately, Zeb, I don't think we've seen the worst of it yet, and it's a legitimate question to ask when you see from, the executive orders and just how they're the constant. If you listen to a press conference, you get the feeling that there's no one's in control as to what is going on in the White House. And I think we're just going to see a lot of smoke and screens and a lot of backroom maneuvering, and they want to bring in the same old, same old. We had 4 years of a good transition in this country. As the president would say, to make America great, to be concerned about America, to do the right things for America. And this administration is doing everything that it can to unwind that and bring us back to the Obama days because that's the only way they know how to operate, Zeb.
Gary, I don't know how it is back in your area of the country, Boston, et cetera, the East Coast, but here, and I noticed this specifically when I was in Arizona for the month of February, people have had enough. I mean, they're tipping their hats back and saying, don't push me much further because I'm about ready to come untrained. In other words, the old cowboy mentality is, don't push me any further, and people have had enough.
Look, the same thing is happening here in Boston, the New England area, though. You know, it's crazy because our governor went from restaurants open at 20% to opening them up to 100% last week. So I'm not sure what that is all about. But people, we're at a very difficult time. People are frustrated with COVID. They're frustrated with what took place during the election, whether you were for or against the president. I mean, those that are constantly hearing that the election was stolen or things weren't right, they don't want to hear it anymore. So people are on the edge. And the politicians are playing Russian roulette with people's state of mind, Zeb, and that's a very dangerous thing to do. They want to get back to some sort of normalcy. People don't look at, even some of my good friends on the left don't know what they should believe and not believe anymore. It's not just the mainstream media on the national level, the local news has turned into pawns for the Democratic Party more than ever, at least here in Massachusetts. So I think you're right. They've got to be very careful. We've got to get things moving back where people psychologically feel a little better and they're comfortable with things. And I think the Biden administration is going to push some things that is going to question people's ability to remain calm and collective, especially when they start going after our Second Amendment and our guns.
Gary, I don't know if this feeling is being permeated back there, but I can tell you that after Christopher Wray with the FBI has made statements that he's more concerned now more than ever about domestic terrorism and that he fears Americans going against Americans, it seems like they're trying to plant the seed that all of us that are being disenfranchised with the Biden administration, we'd better beware they're going to come down on us like a cat to a plate of milk.
Well, they're definitely doing that. They're definitely planting that seed. Whoever thought if 75 plus million people would be deemed domestic terrorists. And again, Zeb, the real domestic terrorists, the Antifa, the BLM that destroyed and burnt cities down in this country, they're not as concerned about them. And look at this, whether I want to call them a gang or a new group of domestic terrorists, this cancel culture is very dangerous as well. But they don't see any problem with those. It's you and I, because we have an opinion, because we voted for a different political party and we support President Trump, they find us dangerous because that is the only way they think that they can defeat us coming to 2022 and 2024, by deeming us terrorists, trying to hold us back, trying to, take our speech away, trying to take us off of social media. But I really don't believe they know what they're in for. I believe they're miscalculating the number of people that voted for this president. And there are many people on the left that are quickly getting buyer's remorse with this president. So I think they're not, I'm not sure they really fully understand what they're undertaking here, but they're not going to keep us quiet.
Gary, I'll come right out and say, and I think you have, in previous segments on my program, have voiced your displeasure with the way society's going. We have to, I think, address the problems with more of an iron hand. And when I say that, if I were standing at a park corner and I saw somebody with Antifa or Black Lives Matter trying to destroy a statue of George Washington or Abraham Lincoln, I think I'd want to punch them in the nose, and I think that's what it's going to take to get this cancel culture's attention. They've got to know that what they're doing is wrong, and we're going to prove it to them.
Listen, Zeb, if you look up the characteristics of what makes up a gang and some of the things that they do, cancel culture fits right into that category. A great defense is a strong offense, and until we get out in front of these people and let them know that we're not going to tolerate this behavior, they're not going to randomly take books away, take statues down, do whatever they feel like. But it's like dealing with little children. Seb, if you let them get away with it, they think they're in the control and they think they're running the show. Lack of better words, the inmates are running the asylum.
We have to get out in front of it. I would not be one to stand there and watch someone destroy a piece of property or attack someone's right to the books that they want to read, et cetera, et cetera. Too many Americans have become sheep. It shouldn't have anything to do with your political affiliation. When you see what they're doing and what they're trying to do, if they get away with this, Zeb, our political affiliation is going to mean nothing because they're going to get us where they want us, into a socialist, communist regime type of government, and that's where they want to bring us.
Gary, I've got to ask you, and Sean over at the station, we've got a little feedback. Help me out just a little bit. Gary, I've got to ask you about the idiocy and the insanity of passing an Equality Act that is going to do nothing more than denigrate and destroy women's sports and respect for women by allowing transgender males to compete with women and also share the same locker room. What kind of absolute insanity is this?
Look, it's an insanity that has been in the progressive left, and the Democrats have been pushing for years. There's no easy way to put this. And they want to destroy. They want to destroy the American way of life. They want to destroy the nucleus of the family. That's what they're not hiding this from us. They're very out and open about this. But for American people to sit down, if you have a daughter or a granddaughter, whatever the case may be, do you want some male walking in the ladies' room while they're in there? Because for that particular day, that particular person identifies as a woman? That's never mind. The whole athletic part of it is insane and just absolutely ridiculous. It's going to destroy women's sports. You know, why aren't more women movements upset about this, Zeb? I'm not sure. Why are they being so quiet? It's destroying everything that they've worked for. But it's a culture that we have to stop. Look at, it's like you give an inch, they take a foot, and that's what they've been doing. But they want to destroy this. They want to destroy the America that you and I have grown up in, that we love so much. And they're getting away with it. We have to become stronger and more vocal, and we just have to let them know we're not going to take it. And that's where the danger comes, Zeb, because at some point, people aren't going to hold back. If the government doesn't resolve this, it's going to take to the streets. I'm not promoting violence, but it's a transition that is going to take place. And at that point, who knows what's going to happen?
The point I made yesterday on this program, Gary, and you can feel free to correct me, I got big shoulders, but when it comes to push and shove on these girls' sports teams, women's sports teams, whether it's basketball, soccer, or softball, whatever the case might be, they can police their own association or games. In other words, what I'm saying, and I played a lot of sports, you can police the issue of a bully and you can take him out if you know what you're doing, and you get my drift. I think women can settle this problem themselves.
Look, I totally agree with what you're saying here, but it has to be dealt with. And this administration is very calculating in causing distractions and trying to move things forward, and and limit the conversation during press conferences. And when you have a media that doesn't push for answers, this is what you get. That's working with them to push all of these narratives and these issues forward, Zeb. So I agree with you. But this is a very sad commentary on what is going on in this country. It's very sad. I still wake up in disbelief that Donald Trump isn't the president. And I'm not a sore loser. I believe that the election was taken from him. And I'm tired of people telling me, no, it wasn't, without having any, they don't have any evidence to show me that it wasn't. People on the left will say, no, it wasn't taken, just because that's what they feel, but they don't want to talk about the things that happened, that occurred, that really show how the election was stolen from this president. So there's so many things going on here, Seb. I think the American people are overwhelmed as this conversation first started, but we have to group together, and I think Donald J. Trump is the guy that can help us move the party together, whether he runs in 2024 or not. I'm not ready to go down that road yet. That's a long way off. But we've got to get rid of the people within the party that are distractions, that from the night after they realized he lost, jumped off his bandwagon and started, talking against him. There's 75-plus million people that voted for him, Zeb. We can make a difference, and the Democrats know that. That's why they're doing all of this stuff in the manner in which they do it, because they know they're in for a problem in 2022 and 2024.
Amen. Gary, we've got a caller with a comment or a question. Real quick, caller. I'm down to the last 4 minutes. Go ahead, please.
Well, there is some signs, evidence that the people of Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, Wisconsin, and others, Nevada, are fighting back because the people of that state that voted for Trump, and they were lots of them in all those states, they got ripped off worse than anybody.
Right.
And you'd say to yourself, well, it's up to you people in those states to make sure that your state has free and fair elections. Is there evidence that they are going to get a handle on this and there will be free and fair elections? Because in 2024, we will re-elect a Republican. And in 2022, if the free and fair elections exist, we will take back the House and the Senate. I'll hang up.
Respond, please, Gary.
Zeb, your call is 100% right, and I do believe that the corrections that have to be made on the electoral process is on the state and the local levels. And I think states are starting to take that action. But again, we have to push it. We have to. Former President Trump talked about that Sunday night when he spoke. We have to be on top of this because these people, the people in these states, their votes were stolen from them. They're upset, and you're starting to see courts making on local level some decisions on the way ballots can go out. But that's not enough. We have to be on top of it. We have to be proactive. We have to make it the conversation every day until these states change the laws back to the way they were and make fair elections part of the process. Look, if we get to the point where people don't think the electoral process in this country is fair, it's all over. It's all over. We can't allow that to happen. But we, the people, Zeb, have to make that happen. Don't rely on a politician or a judge to do it. We, the people, have to force it, and we can. But it starts on a local and state level.
Let me ask you real quick about your book, My Big Mouth and the Ugly Truth. How's the book going, Gary?
The book is going very well. And look, I get callers on my show all the time now, and they want to talk about opinion, and they don't ever want to talk about the factual part of a conversation. And what I like to do is you're entitled to your opinion, as the title of the book says. But if we're going to have conversations about voting and or anything, we have to talk about facts and hard evidence, not what we want to believe and not the narrative that the mainstream media throws at us. That's why the book is doing well. That people are starting to understand that, look, you have to research, and what you read initially may not be the truth. You have to research and find the facts and stop getting the political correctness out of the equation and deal with factual information and evidence. And this country will be a lot better off. And if we didn't succumb to political correctness, we wouldn't be having half the problem we're having now.
You know, Gary, time goes too fast. I wished I had more time to share with you this morning. Gary Goldman and has a great radio program and the author of the book, My Big Mouth and the Ugly Truth. God bless you, and please come back soon.
I will, Zeb. God bless you, and thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much. That man is absolutely refreshing, and I enjoy having him on my show. Gary Goldman back in Boston, Massachusetts. Thank you very much. Holy smokes, I've got to get the weather forecast on. As usual, I'm late. Weather brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, with Don Scarrow and the crew. Oh, the number to call, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. All the delicious meats, whether it's the ham or the bacon, all the flavors of bacon, the sausages, the bratwurst, the tri-tips, the list goes on. Absolutely phenomenal. Scarro's Meats in Jerome. And right now, here's Scotty with the weather.
Looks like it's shaping up to be a very nice week. Here's your 7th Ranch weather forecast. For today, going to be sunshine, a high of 51. There is going to be a little bit of a breeze for tonight. Partly cloudy, 26 the low. For Thursday, sunshine and 56. The wind will be calming down just a little bit. Thursday night, mostly clear with a low of 27. For Friday, mostly sunny and a high near 60 for Friday night. Mostly cloudy and a low of 33. Saturday, partly sunny, a high of 55. And Sunday, sunshine and 56. 53. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. Have an amazing day.
Scotty, thank you very much. And again, brought to you by Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarrow's Meats. They pride themselves on providing you and your family, for any occasion, the most tasty of meats. I urge you to get a hold of them today. Telephone number to call, 324-7657. Located at 331 North Road, Jerome, where they say they're changing the way we eat one bite at a time at Scarrow's Meats. Wow, busy day. Tomorrow's going to be another busy day. We've got outstanding guests coming on, including Dr. Michael Busler, one of the greatest economists in the United States today. We've got Lucas Miles. We've got our chamber report. We've got Cache County School Days. All of this and more on tomorrow's program. Excuse me. Want to remind you about Edith's Cafe at 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. Oh, my goodness. If you like to eat, that's the place to go. My goodness. Deanne just got a note from these great folks over at Edith's Cafe that the week of St. Patrick's Day, they're going to have a corned beef special that'll knock your boots off delicious. So put that on the calendar. But you can stop in anytime at 144 East Highway 81 in Burley, right across from the golf course. Don't forget, and they do catering too. The number to call, 878-2248. Edith's Cafe. You're going to love it. 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. Caller, I've got time for one quick call. Good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning, sir.
My friend.
You know, with these people wanting to cancel everything, and they want to give these dreamers, give them citizenship, and make us pay
restitution.
Anyway, they're saying that these kids that were brought into America by their parents should not be held guilty for what their parents did, or be held accountable for what then why are we being held accountable for what maybe our great-great-grandfathers did, or great-great-great-great-grandfathers did?
I refuse to accept the fact that Doug Martin and Zeb Bell are responsible any way, any shape for financial gatherings to a group of people that you can't prove if they really are descendants of slavery or not.
And then also, too, if they're going to go down this road, they better track down those black families that own slaves, like Kamala Harris'
There you go.
parents. You know, and Granddad had slaves. So, I mean, they need to track down, if they're going to do that, they need to get the black people to pay up, too, because there was a lot of black people that owned slaves.
This whole thing borders on total stupidity and a absolute dissolving of a great community and country, the United States of America. The more we let this garbage flourish, the worse off we're going to be.
Yep, divide and conquer.
You got it. Doug?
I heard that Betty White said the other day, are they going to make me change my last name?
Doug, you did it again. Thanks. Great way to go. I got to go to the commercial. Thank you.
You bet. God bless.
All right, buddy. Oh, Betty White. I love that lady. I want to remind everybody about your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations, my goodness sakes, they're waiting for you. Right now, they know you're probably looking for tires for spring. Well, they've got all the tread designs, all the sizes for all vehicles. And, of course, you probably better make sure that you're safe with great brakes. You need to want to stop, you better say, whoa, and that car is going to stop right there at that stop sign. They've got the best and highly trained technicians for your brake service on your vehicle. Shocks, front-end alignments, batteries, the best in batteries, it's all there for your safe driving by folks that really provide the best in service for you. I mean that. They've been our major sponsor for quite some time. I'm proud of each and every one of them. With the locations in Buell with James, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane in Rupert, Mike in Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes in Twin Twin, the Twist family over in Paul, and my buddy Trent on Overland in Burley. Nobody better. Your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. We always end the program with a Bible verse, and today we're going to go to Psalms 119, verse 101. And boy, this is very pertinent to today with our politics, etc. I have refused to walk the paths of evil, for I will remain obedient to your word. Amen. That's it for today. We're going to put it back in the box and open it up again tomorrow morning at 8:06. Zeb at the Ranch, where we always say the way things were, the way things ought to be. And the 4 words that mean the most to me: in God we trust. Have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06.